It's time for another edition of Kev's List, and today the big question is about Canada. What are the 5 biggest things that you think, Kev, will affect Canada heading into Copa America this summer? And of course, as we see Jesse Marsch, the new identity, the new way of playing here for Canada, getting into these first 2 big friendlies against the Netherlands and France. Take us through your 5.
Well, there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about, I think, here, Luke. I think first off, it's absolutely the squad depth, because I think when we've looked at Jesse Marsch in maybe 1 or 2 selections that he's picked prior to the Copa, a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes, Luke, for how he's going to have to approach this next couple of years, not just for Copa as well. Is this squad capable of making a change in running within, 60, 70 minutes? You need to make a change, someone that's going to come on. We know the top 4 or 5 players that are absolutely going to be playing and going to be part of this team going into the Copa, but have they got enough overall? And I think that's got to be the thing that he's going to ask maybe going into the Copa. Jesse Marsch's style. This is another big thing, Luke, and how he's actually going to approach the team. Consistently, Canada have played with a back 5. It looks as though there's going to be a change of system to a back 4. Can they do that, first of all? But also that high press, the real energy. Have they got players capable? I think in the top end of the field, yes. Real pace, quick transition players. I think that's going to be something that's probably going to suit those players, but it's going to take a while for him to implement that style. And that's going to be a big topic, I think, on the agenda going forward and how we're going to do it. When we have here as well, I think, Luke, the big one, I think, is if the star players perform, if they perform collectively, I think that's the most important thing. It's not just about maybe 1 or 2 of them playing. It has to be Alphonso Davies, Tejan Buchanan, Jonathan David, Stefan Eustáquio. Can he fit Kyle Larin in as well within that structure? Maybe not. That's something for us further down the line as well. But I think collectively they've got to buy into what Jesse Marsch wants, but also perform then as well off the back of that. It's going to be an interesting thing, I think. Yeah, in at 2, I think probably one of the biggest things, the absolute thing for Jesse Marsch is going to try to implement, as I said, a back 4, but the defence, what are the defence going to do? Within that back 4, we've seen maybe certain frailties, I think, defensively with Canada in the last, maybe even going back as far as the World Cup, we saw that as a back 5. Predominantly they sit in, they like to maybe soak up a lot of the pressure, try to play a counter-attacking style that suits Marsch. But with a back 4, it's got to be different. It's about a back 4 stepping up, playing a high line, being brave. I'm not so sure they've got the players with the capability to do that. And that's the one worry I'd have maybe for Canada going into the tournament. Number 1 is the number 1, the position. How is Jesse Marsch? What is Jesse Marsch going to do? It's been a position I've maybe looked at in the last couple of years, even when John Herdman was involved, just to say, look, who is he going to pick as his number 1? Bojan had errors, as we saw at the World Cup, in him. Brilliant in the lead-up to the World Cup in qualification. Outstanding from him. Who is it going to be now? It looks though it's going to be Maxime Crepeau. Does he have the stature? Does he have maybe the mindset of that goalkeeper that's going to be the number 1 and lead his team throughout Copa? It's going to be an interesting thing, Luke. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he's going to do it. But there's a lot of things really for us to digest. And I think that going forward with Canada, what does Jesse Marsch do and how he implements it long-term, not just in the short term at the Copa?
This is a pretty intimidating list if you're Jesse Marsch looking at what needs to be accomplished in such a short time. Should this not be higher? Is not the way Jesse Marsch wants to play the be-all and end-all here as we head into this, and how quickly he can get his principles over to this team?
Do you know what? I think for Jesse Marsch, it's almost as well about off the field as well. There's been a lot of issues off the field. Can he create harmony? I think that's the most important thing that Jesse Marsch needs to do. A harmonious squad will succeed. I think we all recognise that. So that's the thing that he needs to do. Get the team together off the pitch. On it, the style, yes, I think you're right in saying that and how he's going to implement it. I think it's a worry, as I said, with the defence. That's why I'm looking at these 2 positions here to say...
But defence was a strength in World Cup qualifying.
It was, but there's a change now. And we saw it in the World Cup, Luke, about the frailties. We saw personnel didn't necessarily or weren't able to live up to what they maybe produced prior to the World Cup. So that is the worry anyway. Again, it's quite daunting, as you say, but when you look at it overall, I think it's maybe an exciting thing for Jesse Marsch that he's coming in maybe with a bit of a blank sheet, that he's got certain personnel that's going to come in to make the name for themselves. And again, looking forward to the World Cup. That's the one thing I think that's got to be on his mind.
Jesse Marsch said if he was taking over a new club, you start with pre-season games that are maybe against lesser opposition where you can have success. Well, here we go. Yeah. Netherlands, France and Argentina. Let's see how it goes for Canada and Jesse Marsch.